The Steamship Authority carries millions of passengers and tons of freight each year between Cape Cod and the islands. The organization is working to make changes after a report outlines some need for improvement.
Back in the spring, we had some issues with maintaining sailings. We had issues with mechanical breakdowns. There was also weather issues that we were dealing with.
It was all happened right around a 2 or 3 month period. And this was completely unexpected, and we had to know why this all happened.
Well, freely admit that we did cancel a number of trips. In lieu of the 500 and some odd trips that we did cancel, we did provide over 400 trips as substitutes for those trips. Regardless, it was not the service that we wanted to be providing and what the island had demanded that we provide.
Following the cancellation issues last spring, the board decided it was time to ask for a review.
At one of their public meetings, determined that it would be best to have an outside consultant come in, specifically look to see what we're doing wrong, and so that way we can improve our operations. What would be some better practices that we could be following in terms of our management, our vessel maintenance, our public communications, our IT, and things like that. So, I think by and large, everyone's on board with this.
The report was issued in December, and some news outlets called it scathing.
If I read the report, which I did, yeah, I would say it was scathing. I was really ticked.
This was not for HMS to find out what we're doing well. It was to find out what we need to improve upon.
They were really blasting us in that report, and any newspaper, and things like that is going to say, well, what is this? These guys are falling apart. Not so true. He
pointed out that in their experience and how their experience with our operations and the ferry industry as a whole, that he would consider us as one of the better run ferry operators in the United States.
There's a lot of things that we can do to improve ourselves, and the outline of the report, brings those to light. We didn't hire them to be nice to us. We hired them to, correct, things that we could correct. And I think to that extent, this is going to be a very helpful exercise.
The authority makes more than 20,000 trips per year and carries millions of passengers between Cape Cod and the islands. Staff works hard year-round to ensure those passengers get where they need to go.
People don't know how large the authority is. We have a $100 million budget. We carry over 3 million passengers a year. We do all of the freight and things to the island. And over the years, up until we had a little bit of a disaster, the service was dependable, and the customers were happy.
Both Davis and Jones agree that the authority is running well already, and maintenance schedules exceed recommendations.
For us, we've been taking the approach that we want to be preserving these vessels. We feel it's a valuable tool to be dry docking our vessels. So instead of 2 every 5 years, we're doing dry docks every 2 years. So over a 10-year period, we're doing 5 as opposed to only doing 4 over the prescribed Coast Guard requirements. So, and we feel that it's necessary to make sure that the vessels are safe and operational and reliable, and that's our goal.
Communication is key, and the authority is improving the ways in which the public is notified about trips and cancellations.
We have a trip alert system in which people can sign up. They can receive emails or texts for the trips. We have since launched our Facebook page, and we have a Twitter presence. We're also working on creating an operations and communication center, so that way we have a centralized nerve center to be able to be checking not only our vessel operations, but we operate a fleet of buses and parking lots, and it's over $100 million a year operation. There's a lot of pieces to it.
The Steamship Authority's $100 million annual budget is supported by operating revenues, and since 1962 has only had 4 annual operating deficits. It hasn't had to ask for taxpayer support since 1963.
Boats break, and we can never say that nothing like this will ever happen again, because we don't know. But the fact of the matter is, the proof is that all of these things right now running the way we are was corrected by ourselves, in-house, the management team, and we didn't even have the report.
We did have the hiccup here in the spring. We want to get back to the point where we are, like clockwork, that people can depend upon us, and we'll be working on that. So there was a number of improvement ideas that that HMS has recommended in their report. In terms of some of the better industry practices, while they're not necessarily required under Coast Guard regulations. I think they're going to be valuable tools that we can be using, and we just have to sort out how we can implement those and get the operation from top to bottom involved in it.
You can read that report and view video of the presentation made to the board at steamshipauthority.com. For Cape Media News, I'm Sarah Colvin.